Gangs. 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 Gangs.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, folks and blokes, burgers and fries. My name is Owen, and I'll be your host for tonight's edition of the Smoke Daily Show. I'm joined tonight by the ever more muscular British Max.
Bloody marvellous to see you all.
As well as Whipping Boy Nick, whom I've heard on good authority will be getting taller soon.
Please don't hit me.
No. Tonight, we'll be discussing a topic which may be foreign to the Fox News enjoyers among us.
Among us?
That being environmentalism. But first, a quick post-mortem of last night's presidential announcement. But before we start, if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and shill like you're Ben Shapiro in a midterm election live stream. Gentlemen, what did you think of last night's announcement?
I think it was great, quite frankly. We definitely need someone like Trump back. We can't afford to revert to previous Trumpism and see the conservative movement fall and be dormant for several more decades.
Would it be appropriate to say that we are so back?
We are indeed so back, folks.
Do you think that there's any action that we could take as a movement to support Donald Trump?
What a good question. I do think that within the conservative movement, we need to focus explicitly on Trump now, because the media, the GOP, basically everyone is going to be against Trump. They're going to be pro-DeSantis. They're going to be pushing DeSantis. As the conservative movement, we need to be pushing Trump explicitly. Trump is conservatism. Trump, frankly, is the only way that we're going to take the country back.
Not to take the wind out of your sails, but do you think it might be wise to wait to see if Donald Trump is going to maintain the energy that we saw during the 2016 and 2020 elections?
I think we can certainly trust that he likely will. I would also, even if the wind was taken out of his sails somewhat, I still think that he'd be far more competent than any other candidate, purely because of his position outside of the establishment.
I don't think we need to worry about Donald Trump's energy levels. They wouldn't be pressing DeSantis so hard if they weren't concerned about him. So I think we can trust the left's judgment in propping DeSantis for a Donald Trump good.
So you're saying that we can trust him to be competent because they see him as a threat. We can trust him to be competent enough that they feel threatened.
I believe so.
That makes sense.
Any other thoughts about last night's announcement? Are you excited?
I am very excited, as you likely heard at the end of last night's stream.
I heard you're going to be voting in next year's U.S. election. Or, well, the next 2 years.
No.
No?
Well, make sure to get your mail-in ballot.
Yeah, we can kill you and then...
oh, yeah.
As long as you're dead, you can
vote Democrat.
Yeah, true.
There were a lot of people last night who seemed a little bit disappointed that Donald Trump didn't go dark MAGA mode, and I was initially one of them. What do you think about that? Do you think that he was? Do you think that he delivered on the hype?
Well, I think he certainly delivered. He outlined a lot of policies that are certainly dark MAGA, parallel, I suppose. I think we're going to see Trump's energy build and build. I don't think he's going to stop campaigning over the next 2 years at all. I think it's going to be pedal to the metal, and he's going to go hard.
If you had to put a percentage on it, what do you think the odds are of DeSantis declaring?
Oh, 100%.
You think
DeSantis
so?
is absolutely going to run. He's backed by everyone.
Okay.
I disagree. We've seen a lot from DeSantis, and it wouldn't surprise me if he ran, being propped up by everyone. But I don't think it's a guaranteed thing. Like, it's smart for him to back off, and Trump is kind of preemptively attacking him.
Which is why I think he's going to run. He sees it absolutely as a rivalry. The media see it as a rivalry. I think the GOP are expecting to see it as a rivalry.
Do you think he may think that now that Donald Trump has attacked him, that maybe he has to go on the offensive if he wants to keep his career?
I think possibly, but if he's intelligent at all, he will not go after Donald Trump. 2016, we learned this. Everyone that went after Trump was crushed.
Yeah, I mean, he single-handedly ended Jeb Bush's political career in 20 minutes on live TV.
Ted Cruz was made to look like an absolute clown.
Well, to be fair.
To be fair.
I think Marco Rubio is going to run again.
I would love to see Marco Rubio run.
See, these guys may run, but I think it's largely irrelevant because they're going to be blown out of the race immediately.
That's true, but it's nice to see the boys are back in town.
True. I want to see Joe Kent run. That'll be funny. I think Jesus is too controversial for politics.
I would love to see Comrade Stump make a return.
Who?
You know the Can't Stop the Trump guy? No
idea.
Silly Prince. Okay, that's fine. The audience knows what I'm talking about.
I've heard of him, Nick. I've heard of him.
So what steps can we take to support the candidacy?
I think that action within the local community is incredibly important. We will, of course, be getting onto that tomorrow with Mo Rhino Watch Josh.
Get hyped!
Yes, get hyped. Get involved in your local GOP meetings. Spread propaganda. Post some funny stickers on lampposts. Not that you would be vandalizing.
On your own.
On your own.
Definitely don't be posting anything on government property.
I spent several weeks LARPing as a white woman, trying to accrue as many followers on Instagram as I could.
That's real dedication.
Yeah, well, no. When I say LARPing as a white woman, I just followed people, and then when they followed me, I unfollowed them. I didn't actually
That's
post pictures of my
sneaky.
ass, but
Usually, whenever I follow people, they don't like it.
but I did this in preparation for Donald Trump's campaign announcement, because all the people in my circle are the worst, literally the worst. And I wanted to see how quickly I could lose followers simply by posting pro-Trump media. I posted one last night. I'm down to 192
From 193 or
from 200.
oh, blimey.
Well, 200 and something. I wanted to just be over 200, so every
Gosh.
time I dipped, I would maintain my white woman status.
Like whenever I follow people, it's usually to where they can't see me. I mean, if they do see me, then
Well, you run a conservative media group, so they're kind of against you from the start, with Facebook blocking people, allegedly.
I think
Well,
he's
that's
talking
why I
about gang stalking women.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure that's the
Sam doesn't
implication.
strike me as the type.
All right, any final thoughts on Donald Trump or gang stalking women?
No, certainly not.
I don't think so.
Sam?
yeah, I got a few more things.
Okay, moving on. It is clear that the phenomenon of environmental activism has taken a back seat lately, especially as the left wing's promotion of gender ideology grows ever more militant. But the teal-topped transsexuals of today were, in years past, focused primarily on a more conservationist cause, that being environmentalism. While the news cycle may have forgotten about environmentalism, the American voter most certainly has not. In 2020, nearly 70% of Biden voters said that their chosen candidate's promises of radical climate activism were very important, quote, factors in their decision to vote. The importance placed on environmental policies by voters has grown dramatically over the last few years, and we have no reason to expect that it will stop. But why is environmentalism so closely associated with the American left? Many take this rhetorical relationship for granted, and frankly, it's hard to blame them. The left wing's relentless insistence on impending climate catastrophe, aversion to fossil fuels, and bloodlust for any Republican who dares to point out the frequent abuse of nominally conservationist legislation has cemented their alignment with our environment in the minds of the masses. But it wasn't always like this. The left didn't always care so strongly for leafy legislation and botanical bloviation. In fact, environmentalism as an ideology has deep roots in conservatism. Historically speaking, it's been the Republican Party's responsibility to protect our country from the corporate claws of consumerism. In 1916, Theodore Roosevelt himself, Old Teddy, established the National Park Service, an agency dedicated to the preservation of vast swaths of our country's forests. More recently, in the 70s, Richard Nixon, say what you will, created the Environmental Protection Agency, which nominally protects companies from polluting our planet and our people. From an ideological perspective, conservatism and environmentalism are inextricable. Conservatism is a movement dedicated to conserving an older American way of life. One of the central traits of that earlier phase in our history is a healthier and more integrated relationship with nature. You couldn't take the forest, the lakes, and the fresh air out of your grandfather's childhood and expect it to look remotely similar. Simply put, our movement cannot exist without nature, and perhaps more concerningly, nature cannot exist without conservatism. Max, what do you think about the relationship between our movement and the natural world?
Well, I think that certainly as Christians, we're called to kind of we rule over the world, but that doesn't mean that we should destroy it. I mean, if you've got any Bible verses on hand, that'd be handy. But we're not here to destroy the world. God gave us this world. To destroy it is to spit in His face, I think.
No, yeah, the Bible explicitly calls us to be stewards of the earth. He made this world for us. I mean, I don't think it's even an argument that requires a strong biblical foundation. If somebody gave you a gift and you trashed it immediately,
that's kind of cringe.
That would be kind of cringe. I mean, you wouldn't do that. That would be rude. That would be disrespectful. Not only would it be wasteful of the effort that was spent, but you are just being kind of a dick. No good. So yeah, no, I think we really do need to preserve the earth for that reason. And we don't know how long it's going to be until the Lord comes back. It could be tomorrow. It could be 30,000 years. We don't know. But we do know that at least for now, and probably for the rest of time, Earth is our best bet for humanity's survival. And if we want to give our children the best chance at not only a comfortable future, but one that allows them to prosper and do all of the things the Bible calls them to do. We want to conserve the earth, preserve the earth, and ultimately preserve this country, the two of which are inextricably linked.
I definitely agree.
Burn the rainforest. That's the first thing I think I would do.
True. We need more parking malls.
So the question that comes to my mind regarding this issue is, how did we lose conservatism? Because I think it's pretty well established that the ideologies are pretty much one-to-one.
Well, I think it certainly started with you see the distaste for capitalism from the left. I think it was very easy for them to point fingers at capitalists and say that they were bad because mega corporations cause pollution. And I think it kind of sprung from there. They were able to take jabs at this ever-expanding world and say, well, you're causing damage. Obviously, no one likes damage to the earth, including them somehow, because now they appreciate natural beauty, whatever. And that they essentially use it initially, I think, as an anti-capitalist talking point.
Do you think that they're entirely wrong in their concerns about corporate malfeasance?
100% not at all. I mean, I would say that the main issues that we face in terms of environmentalism come entirely from mega corporations and globalist companies that pollute across the world. Isn't it 70% of the world's CO2 emissions are created by is it the top 70 countries? No, top 70 companies, sorry.
I'm not sure. I don't have that on hand.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
I trust you unconditionally.
As per.
Yeah, no, I know that China is a huge contributor, to that. I would like to point out, gentlemen, Nathaniel Abbott has told me that we can't say the phrase that starts with climate and ends in "ange," because YouTube will not appreciate that.
Really? Even if we support it?
Allegedly.
Not that we would do that.
No. So,
oh, that's why he was calling me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Probably.
I think also the weaponization of the particular thing that I just said that I can't say really plays into the Republicans having to take a diametric point of view. If the left is going to weaponize this idea of some climate catastrophe, it really forces our hands into taking an opposing viewpoint. And I think that this is really another manifestation of the age-old relationship between the left's rhetoric and the right being literally correct about almost everything always, where the left will say something like, the planet is on fire, and then the right will be like, well, actually, this is consistent with trends that have pre-existed us by several thousand years, and if you look at the studies and the thermobaric, and it just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with BLM and, well, actually, I think that everybody should have a seat at the table. Like, we just don't have the same rhetorical punch.
I mean, you see the same in their legislature, right? With the Green New Deal, for example, within that bill, I mean, they basically were just like, we care about the climate, we're going to pass the Green New Deal. You look within the Green New Deal and what's actually contained within the Green New Deal, most of it is absolutely nothing to do with the climate. Same with things like the infrastructure bill. None of it was really to do with infrastructure. They didn't even outline what infrastructure meant. So I think that it's very easy for them to say, well, if you disagree with this, then you hate the climate. And it's like, well, no, I just don't want these things that go along with what you're proposing in the bill.
Right, the left is very good about taking and Trojan horsing certain issues. So there was like a veteran bill passed like 6 or 7 months ago, and the media was going after Republicans like, I thought you guys were like the party of veterans, and they had to backpedal and be like, no, you don't understand. I love veterans. I'm going to change my vote and go vote for it because veterans. But it was literally just the name. It had nothing to do with the military or troops or anything like that. And I think the left has done something very similar with environmentalism.
I mean, we have the same thing in Missouri here with the recent midterms. There was it Bill 3? It was the legalization of marijuana bill. And within it, I believe there was something, was it about Sam? Was it critical race theory, or was it?
Yes.
Yeah, critical race theory was kind of shoehorned in there. So our right-wingers that for some reason think smoking weed is a good idea, we're kind of duped into supporting critical race theory within schools because they wanted to smoke weed. And they were like, well, I guess I get to smoke weed, and it's like, yeah, but your kids are going to be taught this crazy stuff.
Also, a fun fact for our conservatives who love smoking weed: if you get your weed license, you're no longer allowed to own guns. So just keep that in mind.
Is that true?
In this state, yes. I think
Weedtards seething.
I think it's actually quite funny because kind of our enemy conceding. Our enemy are no longer able to own weapons because they'd rather just smoke.
Well, this
not
is
legally,
entirely,
at least.
Well,
yeah.
I think this is pretty perpendicular to the whole environmentalism discussion, but I was reading a fascinating book recently, the title of which I cannot remember, and it was about the effects of marijuana, and I found it very interesting that they were citing studies that showed a positive correlation between the incidence of schizophrenia, specifically violent schizophrenic episodes, and marijuana smokers. So they make the argument that either the marijuana triggers schizophrenia in people who are predisposed, which is the case with pretty much every drug. I mean, if you throw off your neurological balance, you are making yourself much more susceptible to the onset of schizophrenia if you're predisposed. Or people with schizophrenia who are smoking, apparently it will exacerbate the symptoms of schizophrenia, and they'll go Randy mode and, like, stab 50 people in a shopping mall.
I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I guess I'll keep it shorter and take out some of the details. But I know 3 or 4 people who started smoking weed at the age of 15, 16, continued for a few years, and then ended up in this kind of insane state, and they were hospitalized because of it, and they've been away from their families for 2+ years, and there's these dads that were somewhat stringent on allowing their children to smoke marijuana, and all of a sudden they've been unable to see their child for the last 2 years. They've been institutionalized, and their mind's destroyed. I mean, their life's not going to be the same.
Yeah, it's really hard to make a source argument for this, and I think a lot of that is because there has been such a push to legalize marijuana. I think a lot of people in good faith are pushing this. I mean, it's a pretty easy position to hold.
Well, sure. It's like, well, it's not bothering anybody, so why would you care?
Well, it's exactly the same as
but it's the same as any other idea from the left. It's like, oh, well, it's fine. It's not going to bother anyone. It gets put in, and it's disastrous.
I mean,
I think it's a libertarian thing. More, I mean, the libertarians are left, but I mean,
no, that is true. But going back to like the schizophrenia and mental illness thing with marijuana, I've never heard that before. That was really interesting. So I know Steven Crowder actually had a video on this where he interviewed some doctor, and she talked about the pros and cons of smoking weed. Pros, there were none, obviously, but it takes away IQ points. I think the study that she had mentioned, if you start smoking weed at age 16 or 17, it's like once a week. By the time you're in your 20s, mid-20s, your IQ dropped an average of like 10 points. So people smoking like every day, and people who don't have that many IQ points to begin with, like
starting at like 13, 14 as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even younger, to be honest. I'm not in on all this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's insane the effects drugs have on your body, if you could believe it.
Well, I mean, I'm probably a cringe libertarian for this, but I think that in theory somebody could partake in that sort of thing every once in a while. The issue is, like many vices, you never partake in it once in a while. It always spirals, which is why it's better to simply abstain. Maybe there are some Stoics who have enough self-control, but I think that anybody who possesses the self-control necessary to indulge once or twice also possesses the self-control to not indulge at all.
Well, this is the common libertarian talking point where they're like, frankly, I should be allowed to overdose on drugs, but if I do, it's my fault. I would never overdose on drugs. I'd only take 90% of the limit. And it's like, you're crazy. You realize
the
that
fact that you're even arguing this.
Yeah, people don't operate like that either. People don't operate on this, oh yeah, I'll be able to take just enough.
And going off on that point, sure, it's okay on an individual level, but what happens if every individual ends up doing that? Then it becomes an issue at a societal level, and things just go down from there.
Not every individual is as genius as you, Mr. Libertarian. I mean, I know that libertarians are incredibly intelligent beings. I could never be a libertarian. I mean, they're just too self-controlled. They're too smart.
I think libertarians
they get it far too much.
Actually, do fall on just on the cusp between midwit and high IQ, frankly, because a lot of the people I know who are libertarians are legitimately very intelligent people. They're just so devoted to some particular vice or ego invested in a particular ideology to the point that they can't just
Yeah,
right
they,
over the lip.
they need to just justify it.
Yeah.
You see it with porn, you see it with drugs. It's everywhere. I think a lot of the talking points that we hear about, oh well, it's just like alcohol, bro. It's kind of the same as the slippery slope that we had with the LGBT agenda that turned out to, by the way, not be a slippery slope, where we saw, oh well, here is some sound logic.
Well, it was very much a slippery slope. I'm sorry. It was a slippery slope. We started here, and now we're like way down here.
Well, yeah, it was. It
was not a slippery slope fallacy.
Slippery descent into hell.
Yes.
I think that you see these. Oh well, alcohol's fine, and if we can have alcohol, that alters the mind. Why can't we have weed? That alters the mind. Why can't we have drug? We saw obviously the same with the LGBT movement, and I think it's the same here. And I think eventually we're just going to see drugs, like Class A, Class B drugs, get decriminalized and then get legalized across the country.
I think there's probably a sound argument to be made for, yes, alcohol does fall under the same category as marijuana, and so if we were going strictly off of like this consistent principle, it should be banned.
Yeah.
However, alcohol is such an ingrained part of our culture that it's worth preserving, even if it's bad.
And I don't think it would be possible to you know, I mean, you could try prohibition again if you wanted. See how that works, because
I think it would
end disastrously.
Well, I think that might not be true. I mean, there's something to that because alcohol is uniquely easy to manufacture. I mean, you can literally do it if you have a pack of sugar and some water. But I think that I don't think it's impossible to rein that in. I just think we need. I think we might need some more powerful institutions, but that's not a developed take, so I'm not going to...
Well, I suppose that you could, if you really wanted to, and I'm not in favour of this at all, but, you know, we've already got... It's technically illegal to be drunk inside a bar, at least in the UK. You could also...
Here too.
Yeah. All right, okay. It's also... I mean, public intoxication is also illegal to an extent. You could crack down on the extent and actually enforce it. You could also, I don't know about banning drunk driving, to be honest. That's where I draw the line.
Based booze.
Reactionary Radio says, first, based Air Force jacket, LFG,
yes, splendid.
And also he says, the same reason I refuse to do weed is the same reason I won't drink alcohol. I don't want to entertain the idea of consuming something and letting it become a vice.
100%. I think the control that... I don't like the thought that something else has control over me. I mean, I drink alcohol occasionally, but it's certainly not a regular thing. And I never drink to the point of not being able to have control over my own body and my own thoughts, because then you end up in sin.
Right. Well, I think it's very important to...
I just realised that I made the libertarian argument that I just trolled about it.
Well, it's an easy argument to make, and it makes sense, but you have to apply it to a bigger picture, and that's where the issue comes in from.
Maybe the distinction, maybe there's some distinction in the fact that, you know, there's always going to be something that you can't abstain from. I mean, a lot of people have food as a vice. You can't stop eating. You can't abstain from that. So you are going to have to learn. Shut up. You're going to have...
I said nothing. I just stared at Nick.
I heard exactly what you were thinking. I think if you have food as your vice, you will have to learn how to abstain completely and entirely. There's no two ways about it. So I think that it's not entirely impossible for somebody to do these things. The distinction may lie, and I don't know this, I haven't really thought about it too much, but the distinction may lie in the fact that you're doing it simply for pleasure's sake. You don't... I mean, some people do eat for pleasure's sake, and that's what has to be reined in.
I think a lot of people do. It's habit, it's pleasure.
But there's no excuse to drink alcohol. Really, I mean, you are only ever doing it because you're having fun.
Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural thing. I drink because my friends drink, kind of thing. I tend not to go out too much, but
I don't drink. I'm 14.
Yeah, of course, all of us are. Yeah.
How would you respond to a biblical argument for alcohol? Because we see Jesus multiple times turning water into wine.
Yeah, but I think wine is... I mean, that's
circumstantial.
Circumstantial. And certainly far more... I mean, Jesus turns water... Or he takes wine and says, this is my blood. He's not taking a pint of IPA and saying, get on it, lads.
Well, there was a few times he kind of did. Like his first miracle at the wedding party. They went through all the alcohol, they ran out, and Jesus was like,
he pulls out
I gotcha.
the based wine. the best wine they've ever tasted.
I think it may be relevant, though, that, I mean, at that point in history, wine was a necessity. You can't drink water most of the time.
Be careful with that argument.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because I know somebody will mention it.
I mean, the Bible is it mentions a lot that you should. I mean, drinking isn't.
Yeah, take
isn't
everything in
condemned,
moderation.
But
right?
yeah, take it in moderation.
P194 says they also used alcohol to sanitize the water. If Jesus came back today and were to do it again, he might put a little bleach tablet in the water instead.
Of course, to rid us of the microplastics.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Any further thoughts?
I don't think so. No.
Cool. To get back to the Green New Deal that we were talking about. I just thought it was interesting. You were talking about some of the things that they wanted to put in there. I have this quote. They wanted to, quote, phase out nuclear power and end nuclear subsidies and all subsidies for fossil fuels and impose a greenhouse fee/tax to charge polluters for the damage they have created. I think the first point is particularly interesting. Why are Democrats and the left so opposed to nuclear energy? It boggles my mind. I do not understand.
I'm really confused by this. I've got a lot of left-wing friends that are like, yeah, nuclear, I love nuclear. I don't understand it. I think that I think again with a lot of things they aren't looking for a solution. They're looking for a way to get votes, and there's no easier way to get votes than manufacturing problems and then trying to provide a fake solution.
I mean, it just boggles my mind, the whole nuclear thing. Like if there's any, maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm out of touch. But the arguments that I have heard that are against nuclear power are retarded.
Well, you will see that these people don't actually care about the climate.
Oh no,
for
not
example,
at all.
the Egypt climate summit. There was over 400 private jets flew to that. Right, when we were during lockdown, everyone was able to communicate on Zoom over these important issues. If they really cared about the climate, why are they going there? Why don't they do it on Zoom and mask up and all look?
In addition to that, we go back to what was it that Trump pulled us out of for
G7?
the climate? Yeah, G7. But one of the things for that was America promised to basically cripple itself, and we're not even the biggest greenhouse gas exporter. That would be China and India, which had no restrictions whatsoever.
Well, the UK is just on the same. Unelected Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has given £1 trillion to other countries.
Guys, we got breaking news.
What's up?
Can I finish my point? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So Rishi Sunak has said that we're going to give £1 trillion away to other countries to fix climate issues that could have been caused by us, and we're going to fix theirs as well. And we're giving hundreds of millions to these random countries, and none of it is really going to have much of an effect. It's just this virtue signaling that's going to cripple the UK economy on the long term.
Well, if the UK economy isn't crippled in the next 3 months anyhow, I'd be shocked.
Minus 3 months, yeah.
Or ours.
I think we've got a little bit. Longer.
I don't know that we do. I'll be honest.
Sam, what is the breaking news?
This just in. Randy quit the server.
Oh my goodness.
I will abstain from comment.
What server?
HOC.
The Heck Off Commie Discord server that you can join by going to any of John Doyle's videos.
Randy is spiritually effeminate. He's done this 20 times now, hasn't he?
This is the first time hearing
We're going to
about it.
abstain from comment because our good friend JJ is watching.
I love JJ.
JJ, my beloved.
Randy.
Well, that's funny.
So anyway, going back to environmentalism.
Yeah.
Eugenics.
What? Man, the Sam from the Sam Daily Show talks once and
everything is ruined immediately.
everything.
So we were talking a little bit about before we went to the breaking news.
Some of the stuff
UK's. I was going to go back to the UK.
Yeah, go ahead.
So $1 trillion is a lot for you guys, right?
More than a lot.
You did 600 billion for COVID.
Yeah, it's like
didn't
a
you?
whole
we spent-
trillion and £4,
Yeah,
I think.
we spent 440 billion on furlough schemes throughout the entire pandemic, and that practically crippled the economy.
And that was over a course of 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I will of course be reminded by the talking heads that it didn't actually practically cripple the economy, because the economy is not actually completely crippled yet. So I'm just spreading misinformation.
Keyword being yet.
Yes.
The other thing the Green New Deal wanted to do is they wanted to cut the military budget in half, which I'm conflicted on this one. It's kind of based, dare I say it. They want to...
well, you need to see why they want to do it.
well, yeah,
They want to do it because CO2. I want to do it because I don't want to kill random people in debt, the US.
Well, it depends on the people, but they say, quote, this latter result, in turn, referring to something to do with fossil fuels, enables a 50% cut in the military budget, since maintaining bases all over the world to safeguard fossil fuel supplies and routes of transportation could no longer be justified. Is that some nationalism that I pick up here?
Well, it sounds more like they're going to stop trying to protect oil reserves and things like that. So we're no longer going to need the capacity to, protect these places. So we're not going to need the budget in order to do that.
I think the premise is a little sophomoric, that we're only in these countries for oil. We're really there to spread Satanism.
Oh yeah.
But I think circumstantial nationalism is better than none at all. I think. What is the NHS like? Like, what's the experience? Because they also are proposing healthcare for all, and I was just curious as a
in the Green New Deal was that proposed?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
well, they didn't explicitly say. They didn't say socialized healthcare. They just said healthcare for all as a right. Which
socialized healthcare.
Right.
I mean,
CNN was very sure to point out that they didn't say socialized healthcare. They said proposes healthcare for all.
Oh, okay. Whatever that means.
Right. Like, I'm not sure how that could possibly be interpreted any other way.
Yeah. So the NHS is a funny one. I mean, I owe a lot to the NHS. I have epilepsy. They've done a lot for me. They provide me with like £1,000.
Prove it. Have a seizure.
No, they provide me with like £1,000 worth of medication a month to stop me doing the stanky leg, which is a good thing, a very good thing. Very appreciative of the individuals within the system. However, when you look at the way that the system works, it's incredibly slow. It takes a lot of time to get through it. I really was only actually eventually pushed through the system thanks to some episodes that I ended up having. They were testing me for epilepsy. Then I, had a seizure, and they went, "Oh, we should probably check that out."
Bloody hell.
Instead of putting you on like an 8-month waiting list.
Right.
My family also had to go private, which is private in England is you would go private with the same doctors that you would see for free in that you would see for free anyway. So it's basically like going to a theme park and paying for one of those like queue skipper tickets.
And then in the process, you like the poorer guys fall behind.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a stinker.
I've heard some people from Canada complain a lot more about the NHS than people in the UK. I don't know if there's anything to that. I don't listen to Canadians typically, but
neither. I couldn't comment too much on that. I know that they're usually more left wing, so they've probably got a different system over there to an extent. I think Canada's worse off economically than the UK as well. So maybe their system's even worse than ours. I'm unsure.
There's also this weird, well, not weird if you know what's going on, but like this curious de facto socialist bent to any sort of environmentalist policy proposed by Democrats. Almost every single policy proposed over the last 15 years has made it prohibitively expensive for the average middle class American to get a car, thus creating this class of people who has superior transportation ability, and then people who literally cannot afford cars because of things like carbon taxes.
You mean a greater increase in the wealth gap between the top 1% and the middle class?
I'm not even talking explicitly
it's been increasing at a rapid rate.
Yes, it is, and it would only increase faster under these deals, like the Green New Deal, for example. But most of these plans, as a natural result of things like carbon taxes, would make driving prohibitively expensive for the average family.
I mean, this is something else that I wanted to come on to with the climate. I don't think that we can align with the left in order to solve this, because I think that the left's resolution is essentially just to punish consumers and punish individuals. I don't think that's the right way to go about this. I mean, sure, you can your server at Buffalo Wild Wings can remind you that you shouldn't use a straw in your cup because you need to save the turtles, but quite frankly, there's much bigger fish to fry, no pun intended, at this level. I mean, we need to talk about the huge polluters in China, India, mega corporations. We should not, live in pods, eat the bugs to save the environment. On a personal level, I mean, I'm doing basically nothing, right? I'm not harming the environment in any way on a micro scale. As you see these companies on a macro scale reduce emissions and reduce things like waste and plastics, then consumers are going to have to adapt anyway. I don't think that consumers should be forced to no longer eat meat, for example.
One thing that's worth pointing out is I don't think the left, in terms of like the waitress at Starbucks or whatever, is intentionally
That was the one at
punishing.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going out of their way to intentionally punish people. I think they're just putting Band-Aids on symptoms instead of addressing the actual problems.
Well, the skeptic within me says that it's all part of a greater plan by some greater people. But we won't get into that.
Which people?
The people that I just outlined, I mean, yeah. The people that want to do those things, I don't know what you're reaching for. You're crazy.
Nothing. I had a really good point, and now I've forgotten it. Give me a summary of what you just said in like a sentence.
I said that like individuals and stuff is bad.
No, I think I disagree with you to some extent. Nathaniel Abbott in one of his videos made the point that it's actually not quite true that you as an individual can't do things. You should absolutely reject the propaganda coming from these corporations saying you can fix the problem if you use cardboard straws that suck.
Well,
no, obviously
I would hope that straws did suck, but that jokes aside, continue.
That said, there is something that you can do. I mean, think about all the trash you see on the side of the street. That makes me want to shoot myself when I walk around my city where I live and I see trash bags and I see heroin needles. I mean, I have stepped barefoot less than an inch away from an actual used needle in my city.
Why are you walking around barefoot?
I don't remember. I was like 15.
Another interesting dichotomy between the left and the right. If you go into any protest from the right, they tend to clean up after themselves, but leftist protests, they leave trash everywhere. You saw that in the abortion rights march versus the March for Life.
Abortion rights?
Yeah, well,
rights.
But Nathaniel Abbott, I think, makes this point pretty well, and I'm going to butcher this, but think about if you picked up every piece of trash that you've ever thrown on the floor. Think about if
I don't throw trash on the floor because I'm a functional human being.
I understand.
I return the cart to the Walmart trolley bay. The
average individual who does throw stuff on the floor. Stuff. I have a funny anecdote about this. I'll share after the spiel. But I mean, think about if everybody picked up the things and put them in the trash. Simple as that. I mean, if you look at a lot of Asian countries, not to go weeaboo mode, but
Singapore, it's illegal to spit gum on the floor.
There you go. Example. I mean, there's some very simple legislation, but there's also some very simple collective action that we could take that would actually improve, if nothing else, even if we're not doing anything for the economy, improving the aesthetic of our environment.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you on all of that. My point was that we don't want to. I'm not trying to rid the individual of personal responsibility. People should have personal responsibility. They should take pride in where they live. They should take care of where they live because of that. I think that these imposed sanctions on us, such as not being able to drive cars in cities without being taxed through the teeth, as we've got in the UK. I don't know if you've got that here as well.
I get taxed through my teeth very comfortably.
I used to be able to, then I got un-Britished. But
my condolences.
That's a good thing. And these eventual taxes on things like we're going to see taxes on beef within years. It's going to be on
beets?
Beef.
Oh,
meat.
Yes. No, I think that's very true.
And I think that we already see there's already flours within flour, cooking ingredients within shops that include things like cricket derivatives instead of normal ingredients.
Is that something that's intentionally added, or is that just a byproduct?
I mean, that's something that's been added within the last few years, and I think we're going to see more and more of that.
In Australia, they are they're feeding children in schools bugs for lunch, and it's mandatory.
We're doing a bit of conditioning. It's cool we do a bit of conditioning.
Well, Australia is the worst, and I think we need to remove it. I mean, Aussies,
and
also spiders. I mean, don't put them there, but you know, they're terrible. Reactionary Radio says, my face when military vehicles are literally dependent on oil, coal, and gas. I recommend that you look up the new, the Abrams X. It's the new battle tank for the U.S. military. It's really cool looking, a little spooky. There's a lot of computer screens in there, and that sketches me out. But it's actually a hybrid engine, and to not sound like gay environmentalists, they called it something like the advanced combat engine of the future. But it's literally just a hybrid engine. But in theory, that should allow it to maintain its sensors array for a lot longer, even if it's powered off.
So instead,
powered off, the engine is, shut off.
Instead of sending dogs under tanks with mines strapped to their backs, should we instead send dogs under tanks with midgets on their backs that can deconstruct the catalytic converter?
That sounds incredibly fun, but I don't know how to do that. But
well, you would get a dog and attach a midget to it. I mean, very simple. The midget, of course, would need some gypsy tier mechanic ability to extract a catalytic converter from a tank.
I think the real meta will be hacking into their mainframes and disabling their algorithms.
Launching a cyber nuke. I don't know what any of this means.
I'm just making up words.
While we have a minute of silence, there's two things I want to bring back up. The first being, as far as monitors and tanks go, there's a lot of blind spots in a tank, seeing as it doesn't have windows. So I think a lot of those monitors are literally just like cameras to see you around yourself. No,
that's exactly what it is. But there are actually, if I'm not mistaken, 0 windows on the Abrams X. It's all electronic, and that really sketches me out.
I wonder if anybody has designed that tank in the game Sprocket yet. Sprocket is an incredibly good video game, folks.
Anyway, moving right along. My second thing was going back to the crickets and like flower thing. I don't know what that's about. Do you think that's intentional as far as environmentalism goes, or is that like a byproduct of inflation?
No, it's certainly intentional. I mean, we've never seen things like that until the last few years where this narrative's been pushed. And you only see it within these large stores as well that are trying to embrace more and more so the cultural norms, because they know that in a few years, if they're not keeping up and if they don't have corn syrup and crickets in their Marmite, then they're going to go out of business because they're going to be deemed global warming.
Samantha Daly from the Samantha Daly Show says, "Man, the dude on the producer seat sucks."
Yeah, he does, kind of.
To be fair, yeah.
Samantha just gone.
Nick slander aside, I think it's a humiliation ritual. I mean, we've seen humiliation rituals performed by global elites.
That's what eating the bugs.
Yeah, but
it's humiliation.
Exactly.
They know it's cringe. We know it's cringe. The soy jacks that perpetuate it know it's cringe, but they just love to show their allegiance to the people, the funny people.
Right. If they can get you to literally eat bugs, which no sane person would ever do, except for like, oh, this is neat, I'll eat a cricket that's covered in chocolate. Okay, fine, whatever. That's gross, but I get it,
I mean, it's everywhere. If we saw, like, if there's humiliation rituals have been going on for years, if we can normalize things like gay marriage within the streets, and we can teach it within schools, then we're being humiliated.
Quick straw poll that's going to get us taken off YouTube. Gay marriage or eating bugs? Which one would you rather?
Well, see, the funny thing is I would probably actually try bugs if it wasn't being pushed so hard by the left, just as a novelty,
I'm just saying, I would try bugs. I would not try gay marriage.
I would not try gay sex. You can quote me on that, but don't. Rizvo says, "Hello, gents. I just subscribed the other day and I'm catching my first show. Thanks for the entertainment and discussion." No, I'm just...
Oh, okay.
And discussion. Can you tell me who you are and what you're about?
Who we are and what we're about. Take us away.
Oh. So this is the Sam Daly Show. It was started.
Isn't here.
It was started by Sam from the Sam Daly Show. We've gotten rid of Sam from the Sam Daly Show. Coincidentally,
the viewership
has gone up by literally what is it, like 1,800% or something in the last week?
Perhaps.
These are purely coincidental. What we're about, I think we all we have our different ambitions, but I think we all share the same values.
We're husky, Christian, conservative, young adults.
This is true, but I think we also really want to make a change. And since Sam Daly is paying for me to come here, this is what I'm doing for this week, and then I'm going home.
Well, you're coming back, right? Please.
We'll see what happens.
Oh man, viewership numbers plummet.
Yeah, but no, I think that we're all grateful for the opportunity that Sam has given us, one way or the other, to actually contribute to something. I think it feels, I mean, I may be talking to literally one or two people right now, but it does feel good to be able to sit here and contribute. And I think we all work in circles ancillary to the Sam Daly Show that are actually getting things done. We have some projects in the work. We're calculated political actors.
The Sam Daly Show Expanded Universe.
The Sam Daly Show Expanded Universe, yes. Let's see. They handed out free crickets and maggots at the downtown public library in Chicago. Yeah, that sounds about right for
That's
Chicago.
Embarrassing. Wow. I mean, at least it wasn't free heroin needles. Or was that down the street?
No, I hear they hand out free 9mm in Chicago as well.
I mean, that's probably a good thing, right?
P194, we're going to get into some trouble, asks, what are our Christian denominations? Nick, you want to go first on this one?
Sure. I'm Southern Baptist. Easy.
Protestant, really undecided on exact Protestant denomination.
Non-denominational, Max.
No, that's not what I said.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're currently attending a Southern Baptist church, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
So I'm Protestant, and I have gone to a Lutheran church, but I am also undecided. I'm not in love with the church. I really appreciate the people there, and the community is really meaningful to me. It's where I grew up. That said, I don't like the direction of the church. I don't like some of the things they preach.
Your specific church, right?
My specific church, yeah. Lutheranism, I have no strong opinion on one way or the other. But my specific church, I think I need to find somewhere that is actually going to help me grow in the Lord rather than... I'll stop there.
We're getting a little bit away from the topics that we put on the title, which was environmentalism. Can we get back to that?
Yeah, absolutely. How do we take back environmentalism? I have some ideas, but let's hear you.
Oh, I want to hear your ideas, then I'll call them wrong or correct.
Well, I didn't actually have any ideas, so no, I'm kidding. So I think that we're in a uniquely advantageous rhetorical spot when it comes to environmentalism. If you look at the left, they're unnatural. Everything about them is unnatural.
Agree.
I mean, you could bring up the whole the Satanism argument, but like just from a secular standpoint, look at the things that they are promoting. They want to put things into their bodies where they shouldn't belong. Take that how you will. In several ways.
By that we mean they want to pick their nose.
Yes. They want to invert one of the things that is most central to their experience on this earth, that being their sex. They want you to live in increasingly atomized and sterile environments. They want to destroy strong community. Everything about the left is inherently unnatural. Most fundamentally, I think, the way which they're ideologically opposed to nature is they want to completely eliminate hierarchy. If you go out into the woods, anybody who has spent more than 5 minutes in the woods, literally touch grass, knows that a hierarchy exists, and that hierarchy has to be expected. We, to some extent, have conquered nature, that being like the woods, but we have not conquered human nature. And if you go out into the woods, you will start to understand nature as a whole, the way the world works, hierarchy, natural beauty, all of these things you can intuit from looking around you. It really doesn't take much. And the left hates that because it is so naturally evident. The left can completely censor the truth on the internet. They can completely censor the truth on the TV, but they can't censor the truth when you go outside. There's not some annoying leftist with green hair going, fact checked, that bug is not actually pretty. Ladybugs? Did you know that ladybugs are actually an invasive species that invaded in 1904 with the immigration? No. You can just look at things that are pretty and appreciate them, and that is that. And I think that's actually, really powerful. But to get back to my point, we can point to all of these things that are unnatural. And I think it will be very easy to extrapolate rhetorically and say, why are they claiming to be about nature? Why are they claiming to be about anything that is beautiful, anything that is natural, when in every other context they want to destroy it, they want to rape it of everything that makes it, wholesome? Why is it any different? I mean, and I think that's a lot more powerful than actually, substantiating that idea with, well, if you look at their policies, if they actually wanted to make climate change,
Good save.
adjustments to the environment, they would, do this and do that, and well, actually, they're using these Trojan horse deals. It doesn't matter. You're never going to win like that. But if you say that everything they do is unnatural, they hate you, and they want you to live in a pod and eat bugs, I think that is a legitimately powerful rhetorical strategy on the par of the world is on fire. They literally want you to put you in a pod, and they want to force your children to eat bugs, and that is unnatural. We have been living on this planet for a long time. I will not tell you how long. And we have been doing things more or less the same way that entire time. Now, we have made the gameplay loop, so to speak, of life more efficient through technological innovation, and I think that is awesome. I'm not going to go Kaczynski mode and say that we need to get rid of all that. Where I have a problem is when we go and supersede the natural cycles of life. We're not just making them more efficient. We're not facilitating those things. We're actually replacing them. Now we're eating bugs. We're living in pods. We're increasingly atomized, and I think that that's terrible. And I think it's really easy to point that out.
It almost seems that we've regressed to the point where we were 2,000 years ago, eating bugs and stuff like that, instead of taking advantage of the things we have around us right now.
I'm not even sure I don't think we've ever been in a situation where we've been eating bugs, which is actually even funnier and kind of proves your point. But yeah, I think that was one of the best takes I've heard on that so far. Congratulations.
Let's go. Yeah, and I think that, even if you look at the way that the mainstream media offers you solutions to things as compared to the way that the right wing and everybody normal...
Any sane being.
Yeah, right. Offers solutions. The mainstream media will tell you to get on antidepressants, to eat a whole bunch of carbohydrates, not eat any meat. It has been empirically proven so many times that diet and exercise are the most effective antidepressant. Every single clinical study that you will look at will tell you that antidepressants are not nearly as effective as going outside and getting exercise. That's simply true. And I know this because there are hundreds of people out there who would do anything to prove that there is some miracle pill that'll fix their depression. You literally have to go outside.
The case.
And that is what I think the right wing offers you. They offer you a very natural, and I'd like to say not independent, but maybe compartmentalized, not dependent way of improving your life. What people who were Christian offered me when I was fixing my life are: abstain from touching your penis. That was a good start. Don't eat shit every day. Literally go outside and walk. But if I were to go to anybody on the left wing and ask, they would say, well,
you need to see a therapist.
You need to see a therapist. Maybe you're in the wrong body. Maybe you need to take a pill. Maybe you need to be dependent on this pill every single day not to want to literally chop your head off. And I think it's I think that contrast perfectly emblemizes the difference between the left and the right in their relationship with nature. And it has been empirically proven which approach is more effective. Not to be sorry, but this is one fact that is literally indisputable scientifically.
100%.
Go outside, touch grass. That's pretty much it.
Don't really know what to say to that. I just agree with everything you just said. So.
Somebody said, you haven't tried Xanax, have you? No, and with any luck, I never
I'm not
will.
Degenerate. Well, I know people that have tried the Xanax and they've ended up becoming hooked on more and more substances, more and more bizarre substances, and it's crippled them for years. So, yeah, I'm sure that's epic. Frankly, I'd rather just bench press, but...
I was going to say, maybe the more accurate claim would be there's no miracle pill that fixes you for a long time. Anything that changes your body chemistry is going to affect you in negative ways, more likely than not, especially if it's abused or if you're on it for a long time. Like Xanax is a great example of that. It's a very radical change in you, and your body isn't going to be able to recover from that if you do it more than just a very, very small amount.
As per the previous marijuana anecdote.
Right.
Yeah, chronic usage of psychoactive medication is always destructive. Your body and your brain love homeostasis. If you disrupt your brain's natural production of anything, or if you inhibit the reuptake of anything, your brain is going to adjust for the increased presence of that neurotransmitter. This is true of any medication, any psychoactive medication that you take. You're never going to escape that biological fact. To my knowledge, there is no psychoactive medication that can be taken at the same dosage indefinitely and achieve the same results. I thought it was really funny. I think we're going to talk about fentanyl at some point. I think we're going to make Vic try it live. But fentanyl was
only as an experiment,
as a social experiment in Minecraft. But fentanyl was originally marketed as a natural synthetic, a synthetic alternative to opium that you couldn't grow tolerance to. That turned out to be very wrong. But I mean, that is to say, you're never going to be on medication and have and achieve any sort of long-term results. You're always going to have to increase the dose.
Right, and to jump on that, it's because your body builds up a resistance because it's something that it's not supposed to have in it. So you start taking something, and that's like meth is a great example of this. You're never going to get that first high that you had in the first place, and you're going to constantly increase your doses over time to try and reach that high. But it's going to be like diminishing returns.
Well, the other thing is, this is a pretty obvious take. Yes, this is Smoke from the Smoke Daily Show.
Ow.
Let's go. Pardon me. Got a little hype.
Yeah. Apologies, ear users, for that one.
Ear users. Yeah, you should try meth just once. That's my recommendation. No, I mean, the thing about a lot of drugs, specifically methamphetamine, you're going to upregulate your dopamine receptors to the point that they're not receptive to natural levels of dopamine. So it's going to make the highs a lot worse. But not only that, if you try meth and you do meth for a little while and then you get off it, it's going to take a lot of time for your brain to recover from that neurotransmitter upregulation. So everything you do in life is going to be less enjoyable, and it's going to make you want to seek that high even more, and the high is going to be required just to feel normal because your brain will adjust for that flood of dopamine.
Similar effects with pornography.
Yes.
By the way.
Yeah. Shout out to the John Doyle on pornography.
Dissertation.
Yeah, go watch that if you haven't.
I have this in my notes here. Not that I have any notes. I have this all in my brain. But I wanted to say that I think an important part of taking environmentalism back is divorcing ourselves from the the big R Republicans who whore themselves out for like petrochemical companies, for instance.
I mean, the establishment, right? This is why we're backing Trump. He's outside of the establishment.
Donald Trump specifically, and I'm very conflicted on my thoughts on petrochemicals as a whole. But Donald Trump specifically is very, very pro petrochemical extraction. He was actually a few miles away from me at the new Shell plant in Pittsburgh, South Docks, a few years ago while he was still president.
Man, I sound goofy now. Fact checked live on air.
But I mean, I think we need petroleum. We need these natural resources. Maybe we won't need them in the future, but for now, we absolutely need them. I think the key is making sure that we are not getting complacent. As the saying goes, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And I think that we need to, I mean, like the left says, I think they're right on this. We do need to move towards things like wind and solar. Not that they're sustainable now, but with enough infrastructure, they could theoretically become sustaable.
I would disagree with you on that. I think we need to focus on going nuclear rather than solar and wind.
Right. That was an accidental omission, not intentional. Nuclear as well. But for now, we need those petrochemical companies. But it's very, very disturbing when you look at the biggest companies. If you look at Shell has literally taken over Nigeria.
Really?
Yes, it has completely taken over Nigeria. They flooded. I mean, they plomped down. They said to the government, you're obviously in distress. It's Nigeria. I don't think they've had money since ever. So somebody can fact check me on that. I'm not up to date on my African politics, but they said, we'll build this extraction plant here. We'll build all this infrastructure for you. You just have to let us use the land. So of course they got their poking sticks and guns and everybody who was already on the land off of the land. They put all this infrastructure here, and now their entire economy, all of their infrastructure is completely dependent on Shell. And I mean, I don't have enough information in front of me to talk about this too deeply. But I mean, the things that they have done to people pursuant to the domination of Nigeria, a lot of people who have stood up to actually fight back to organized resistances have been literally executed by Shell executives.
I've heard this about diamond companies, but not Shell.
Yeah. And now Shell has an enormous plant in Louisiana. I'm not going to show this here. I think it's a bad idea, but my dad actually has an entire documentary on this. And they have a plant they're putting in Pennsylvania right now, and I think that they can't get away with a lot of the same tactics that they do in these foreign countries. But I mean, that's really concerning, If they're doing this to the Nigerian people, what makes you think that they're not going to pursue similar tactics through different means to people, 3 minutes away from me in the next house? So I think that an important part of taking this back is divorcing ourselves from the Republicans who are like, unconditionally, yes, I love this. And we need to prop up Republicans that say, yes, conditionally, but we need to put our people first. We need to actually, honestly examine the effects that these are having on people. I saw a really suspicious theme song. Among Us theme song. Thank you. Study that tried to make the argument that because Shell plants were annoying, they put people in greater psychological distress, so they had health detriments. I thought that was particularly goofy. But there are actual health risks associated with proximity to these extraction plants. So I'm not actually opposed, in theory, to the idea of federally subsidizing these things in the short term, so long as there is a definitive time limit, a plan to move away from these things, and I think a focus on mitigating the harm. We have like 300 comments. Let me take a look.
Blimey. Let's pull up the stream.
While Owen is looking at that, it is worth noting that as far as like Shell goes and what they're doing, gas companies and oil companies have a massive lobby industry in America. So, and that's one thing the left is correct about. One of their rare wins is they're definitely in the pockets of all our politicians, and you'll see that influenced mainly in the Republican Party, despite being conservative, as far as conserving the environment, things like that. But I don't know where I was going with that. But I do agree that we do need to kind of focus on transitioning from fossil fuels to more clean, efficient energy. It's going to take a very long time to do that, I feel. I don't know that subsidies are the correct way to do that, but maybe incentivizing things to go to green energy. So I think a good example of that was Tesla got grants from the government because they're so focused on green energy. And yeah, that's all I got.
We've got a question about meditation.
I was gonna bring that up.
Oh, splendid!
I think it's more important to point out the comment that says that I'm looking sharp. Thank you.
Real. Any comments directed towards my appearance today?
You did get one that said that you were looking sharp as well.
Oh, splendid!
If I'm not mistaken, it was from the same person. Simp.
But here we go. Yeah.
But don't stop. So,
Sidewalk. We love it.
He's asking about meditation for epilepsy. I don't know if there is any evidence to suggest that is helpful. I don't think that there's anything inherently bad with meditation. I think that generally...
Wait, the argument was meditation helps epilepsy?
No, the argument is it satanic? I believe that was
I thought I heard you say epilepsy, sorry.
No,
the question
he is using it... just read it off.
I meditate to help manage my epilepsy by lying on my bed and focusing on breathing. Is it satanic or anti-Christian to meditate?
Well, you can discuss the... We'll discuss the science afterwards. I don't really care for that too much. I don't think it's satanic at all. I think meditation is a good thing to do.
That was the point I was going to make. Like, I think it's generally a good idea to not to be too like sex positive therapist, but like know yourself and be introspective. And I think that meditation in the sense of mental mastery, being able to actually clear your mind and focus externally, I think that's. Being free of vice and having control of oneself is inherently Christian. You're meant to be free of desires, I suppose. And if meditating helps that, by all means. Yeah, I think it also depends on what you're meditating on. If you're like Vic and you spend all day thinking about anime women, I don't think that's a bit cringe. Yeah. But, if you're meditating on the word, then inherently based. Randy says yoga is satanic. Who? Randy. Don't know that guy. Oh, yeah, he's gone. So back to the epilepsy thing. Imagine having that. What was the comment? Because Oh, he was saying that he wants to meditate for epilepsy. I just don't know if there is any evidence like to suggest that that's actually helpful. Some people say that meditating daily is extremely helpful. I don't know if that's true. It's based on Hinduism. If you look at, I have heard that yoga has evolved out of a more spiritual version of itself, and that makes me a little bit skeptical. I mean, if you are walking the walk, you may inadvertently talk the talk, so to speak. So I would be very skeptical of doing that sort of thing. That said, a standardized set of stretches I don't think is inherently satanic, unless you're a woman and wearing yoga pants, in which case...
yoga pants are satanic, yoga is not.
Yeah.
Simple. In terms of your meditations, I've never tried it. I don't see how it would help me specifically. I mean, if stress causes your seizures, by all means do it. I mean, I've noted that stress has caused seizures in the past, but it's usually not been every time I've been stressed. It's been severe stress and severe sleep deprivation crossed with drinking alcohol and or not taking my medication.
Oh yeah, you need to stop drinking alcohol.
I mean, I do it like 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, you kind of need to stop. We'll discuss this.
Is this Max's intervention?
We'll stop this after the show.
Like 3 ciders a year.
No, but like that will cause seizures.
Oh yeah. I've in my experience, I've not found that to ever occur. Didn't
you just say that it was combined with drinking alcohol?
Well,
that precipitated your seizures?
I think a lot of it is more to do with I think there was more correlation with staying up late at night, being sick, throwing up medication, things like that. We can get into Max's
addiction
problem. Yes, drink too much Thatcher's A's. Of course, none of you know what that is because you're not British.
Blimey, bloody hell!
Don't know how you do it.
Also, if you have difficulty breathing while sleeping, sleep apnea, build-up, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Anybody Q&A?
Anybody? I think
Max
that's kind of what we're doing.
We've lost Sam. I'm not sure where Sam has gone. So we're gonna have to improvise.
I'm not particularly bereaved.
I think that might be. I don't know.
Anybody who has epilepsy, take fish oil with your epilepsy, especially
with your epilepsy.
Take fish oil if you have epilepsy, especially if you are prescribed levetiracetam. If you are prescribed levetiracetam and are interested, DM me, and I will send you a very fascinating study about the co-administration of levetiracetam and omega-3, but it's dependent on your weight. And also,
how can people reach out to you if they have questions?
At smoke #3785. I think Nick would be if he's
on the Sam Daily Show Discord server.
He can put it in the.
You'll be on there.
Yeah.
So
take fish oil with your epilepsy. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. And in addition to that, as far as meditation goes, I think it's a great supplement. Like as far as like you need to center yourself, calm down a little bit. But I think the biggest thing that would help that is going outside, like you said, addressing like
touch grass.
Touch grass. What causes your anxiety and kind of figuring out how to deal with that before it gets to the point where you have to like lock yourself in your room and like calm yourself down.
Yes, I am on the HSC Discord.
Alternatively, the masculine side of it, which is to just
get better,
forget about it.
Yeah,
lift weights. Foolproof, quite frankly.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that is why women are so much more prone to epilepsy, because they don't just not have seizures.
just don't have them, bro.
Stop.
Oh. I'm going to have one tomorrow now, and it's going to be your fault. Foreshadowed.
That'd be a funny bit.
Yeah.
Dude, I am terrified.
That would just be hysterical.
I am legitimately terrified of Max having a seizure. Like, when my girlfriend has a seizure, she goes...
100-pound...
She goes monkey mode.
Yeah.
And I, like, just sort of pick her up and set her down sideways. If Max has a seizure, I'm sorry, brother. I'm... standing back.
I broke my work laptop while having a seizure before. I literally punched a hole in it.
That's pretty cool.
So,
do you have a picture?
Probably somewhere, but I've got like 17,000 memes on my phone.
Kudos for quitting coffee. I don't know if I can. Okay, Jonathan Vitelli.
Call him Pavement.
Pavement.
Yes.
Goes, damn, Max, you're looking fine. Damn, Owen, you're looking fine. Nick's not looking too bad.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that this is kind of an unfortunate camera angle. I've kind of got this double chin going on. You guys can't see it, but the audience can.
Well, Nick did pause his game to be here, so...
Very true.
We could talk about diet now, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good segue to double chin diet.
What were you drinking immediately before operating the stream camera?
I was drinking Diet Dr. Pepper out of a tortilla.
Okay, second question. What is wrong with you?
There's a lot of things wrong with me.
Let's start with the goy slop addiction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zog Chow or Goy Slop. Very simple. In the Sam Daily Show Hype House, we're
That's
hoping,
fascinating, Erebus.
we're hoping to ban all of these funny liquids and the funny foods that keep coming to the house.
With one
'Cause-
exception.
With one exception is sugar-free Red Bull.
Yes.
Shameless plug.
Yes.
Gives you wings.
This stream is not sponsored by sugar-free Red Bull. I love it. It
It's just
makes
splendid.
the stream operate.
Yeah.
I actually do have like 4 before the stream.
But I mean, we're trying to rid the house of that because, frankly, all we need is milk with no growth hormones in it and beef and lots of it. And it's working well for me. So,
The poll is up.
what's the poll?
The poll is Goy Slop, Zog Chow, or Gub Gub Grub.
I have never felt more autistic than I have in this house because we say things like goy slop and zog chow.
I didn't even know what Zog Chow meant until 2 days ago, but it makes a lot of sense because you've got the goys and you've got the Zog.
I really wish that we could talk about the most autistic thing that happened this week, but we've
been sworn to secrecy.
I couldn't even name it, quite frankly. I don't know what you're referring to.
You don't know what I'm referring to?
No.
I'll give you a hint.
Our legal team has been advised not to.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
So,
I don't get it.
do we have any other
No.
Q&A questions for the Q&A?
Were you about to
or
say
do we want-
QAnon?
I did, yes.
That is actually a banned word on stream on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, we
From
better not say
Scallop.
it then. But
Say
do
what?
we have any? Do we want to go back
QAnon.
to environmentalism? Do you have any more talking points you want to hit, or are we just chilling?
Well, I actually have. Are curious?
Oh, it's got a...
What a nerd.
Just some good ASMR.
Thanks.
11 pages more of notes. I tried to type them out, and I got like 15% of the way through, and that's what we discussed today. But if we want a 10-hour stream, I can type the rest of them
Is
out.
there anything more pertinent? If not, I want to do a Q&A.
Yeah, I do too, but we aren't getting any cues.
Well, come on, Qers.
We could look up like bad questions to ask on a first date or something. Like one of those top 10 Quora articles. Sleep apnea will literally ruin your life. Yes.
Yeah, if you
To
not-
answer your question,
I mean,
yes.
I've seen Fight Club, so
I haven't seen Fight Club. Is there sleep apnea in that?
you've not.
No.
Is that a bit?
No, I've never seen Fight Club.
Wow. Okay.
I watched like a Sigma Male edit that had Fight Club in it, but I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
and it was playing After Dark in the background, and it was as the hours pass, and it was like, dude.
No, I think it was more like
Fight Club.
na 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 da na 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 na.
Yeah.
I wish we could have movie nights on live stream, but we can't because that's less than legal.
Man.
But it's so good. Well, maybe we can watch it later instead of.
Yeah.
I don't really like watching movies unless they have Sigma Male edits made of them.
I mean, we have already seen it twice in the last like 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How about another classic, Drive?
Drive with the Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah. in
Drive with Ryan Gosling with Drive with
Yeah, the guy from Drive with Ryan Gosling.
That's like when Sam does literally anything and I go, is that Sam? Sam from the Sam Daily Show? But now I'm gonna go, is that Sam, the producer from the Smoke and Max Daily Show?
Well, Sam does get recognized in coffee shops, and you know, we went into Five Guys.
Yeah,
the other day,
because
and
they have the registry pulled up on their phone.
There was a literal crowd around us. They were like, Sam from the Sam Daily Show. You know JJ? Do you know JJ? They were taking photos. It was crazy. We had to get the man out of there.
What are your opinions on BlackRock? Well, if we're talking about the BlackRock tactical rig from Escape from Tarkov, I think it's a great median between the nuts. What's it called? I haven't played in so long. What's it called, Max? The tan one that has a similar capacity, but I think it has the extra 2 slots, so you can fit another magazine in there for your Chad cannon. But all around, I don't think it's worth the money when you have something like the new Triton tack rig that you could take.
Very true. I wonder if he's talking about BlackRock, the
No,
motherboard
I know what he's
company.
talking about.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
BlackRock
funny
is,
people, the very funny people.
the BlackRock is very, very spooky, but a lot of people really like to talk about like their computer algorithm that they use to like predict things that happen in the world. And I mean, maybe I'm not in on the party, but computers suck. Like, I'm really skeptical that that's
What do
anything
you know
special.
about computers?
Nothing, literally nothing. Don't dox me, I'll kill you. But based on what I do know about computers, if I did, which I don't, is computers suck. I just don't think that it's possible for this computer to have such advanced and nuanced, like...
Oh, wait, you're talking about... I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
they mean
okay.
BlackRock, the mega corporation.
No. So BlackRock has this this supercomputer that they use to predict investing patterns or stock market patterns.
Oh, that's cringe. I usually just, like...
That's neat.
I had it in a dream, invest.
I spelled out my girlfriend's full name with the short names of stocks, and I made like 400% in a week.
There you have it, folks. All you need to do is get a girlfriend.
Yeah, that's the first step to investing, unfortunately.
What an excellent segue. Did you guys know that their Facebook has a dating section like on Tinder now?
Yeah, that's been there for ages.
Anyhow, so they have this this supercomputer, and people are like, the individuals with... Some people have this crazy... JJ has this crazy computer,
The JJs
and
have
they're
the
using it
crazy
to predict
computer.
everything that's happening in the world so they can control the world, and I'm really skeptical of that claim. Like, maybe I'm not invited to the
I
party
agree
where
with the
everybody has
well,
their
you're
supercomputers.
not you're not invited to the party because you're not a JJ. Boom.
But yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't agree with the supercomputer part. The other part, the world domination.
But what don't you agree with?
I don't agree that these supercomputers, you know, are able to accurately predict, especially in the world that we're in now.
Right.
As for the total world domination, maybe I agree with that. Maybe I don't. But I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, so.
Why are you not a conspiracy theorist?
Because I'm a good citizen.
Jonathan Fitelli, I didn't realize that was a question. I thought that was a topic recommendation. Young Earth creationism versus theistic and or atheistic evolution.
Do you know how many atheists I've caught planting the bones of dinosaurs in the ground this week? Like 50. It's not even funny anymore. They're like, oh. I'd rather talk about evolution, to be honest.
We can talk about evolution.
We kind of hit on evolution on yesterday's stream, didn't we, a little bit? Talking about macro versus microevolution?
No, that was around the dinner table. I think
somebody went on when I was doing a thing that I can't talk about on stream, the other day I met up with Joshua.
Who's Joshua?
Now I can't say his Discord name because it'll dox him. An individual from HOC, and he was delivering something to me. But we met up, and I like,
oh yeah,
and I said the word like evolution. I may have said the word like revolution or something. Like, I don't know. I said something completely perpendicular, and he went on this rant for like 25 minutes straight. It was me and my roommate sitting there like, because he went on this rant about evolution. It was very entertaining though, and I did legitimately appreciate it.
That's pretty based.
Yeah.
I mean, where are you on evolution?
I don't like.
Do you believe that nothing and then suddenly germ and then boom, 70 billion years human?
I don't think it maybe I'm coping here. I don't think it particularly matters.
Well, it certainly matters. It's incredibly important.
It doesn't matter to
someone that already believes in Christ. I don't think it matters.
Well, yeah. Okay.
To people that do not believe in Christ, because they instead choose to believe the religion of, you know, Darwinism, it matters massively. If we can disprove Darwinism, which we can in like 3 sentences, because it's laughable when you actually think about it, then there's no choice but to submit to a god.
I'm leaning towards the fact that this idea of like macro scale evolution it does not exist. But at least to me, and you actually said more concisely what I was trying to say. In terms of my faith, it doesn't matter to me enough to actually engage the topic. That's half cop out, but also like I legitimately don't care in the sense that, I mean, if it comes out that I mean there is definitive proof that this thing happened and that, you know,
it is. It's called the Bible.
No, not that. The whole evolution thing happened, and I mean, okay, so God, you know, used a different mechanism to create me in His image.
Book recommendation time. Where the Conflict Really Lies by Alvin Plantinga. Marvellous book on this. It discusses science, naturalism, and religion, and how they overlap. You know, because you see a lot of the time, these people say, oh, well, this science thing disproves this religious thing, and it's like, well, does it? Let's take a closer look at that. And it's a very interesting book.
I'm really
I'd
not
recommend
convinced,
reading.
and maybe this is, again, I'm giving the disclaimer, this might be a midwit take. I just really don't think that they're mutually exclusive, and maybe
They're
I'm
not-
just
they're
not
not.
enough into high theology to, like,
Hmm.
you know, be a seether.
That's certainly not. I mean, Darwinism is not compatible, I don't think, with religion, especially Christianity.
Well, Darwinism, I mean, if you follow what Darwin himself explicitly said, I mean, that would be compatible with Christianity,
The
yeah?
theory of evolution, where there was thing in the water and then suddenly, boom, 70 billion years later.
Well, Darwin was the one who specifically said, well, there is no actual evidence that we've seen somebody cross from one species into
Well, yeah,
the other, right?
there's no evidence of a change of kinds, right?
Right. So if we're talking specifically, I mean, if we're saying Darwinism as in what Darwin explicitly
Well, he
said,
believes in macroevolution.
despite the fact that he said there's no evidence.
No, because
I think it's the opposite. I think he was talking about microevolution, and then he pushed further into a theory of macroevolution, and then later in life he was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But
Okay.
we still take that as, we misconflate microevolution with microevolution.
well, maybe Max has got a wrong take on that then. But the overwhelming consensus today seems to, from anyone, maybe it's been perverted since Darwin's time. Maybe I'm giving him too much stick. Is that change of kinds has been seen because everything was once this thing in the water, and then suddenly loads of years went by, and then we ended up with modern day humans, which is just utterly ridiculous. And that's what is claimed by many of these people. If he agrees that, you know, we've only seen microevolution, I could maybe entertain his ideas more. But as far as I'm aware, I thought
It has been alleged, and I don't
macroevolution.
know enough about this topic to really talk any further, but I do know that it has been alleged that Darwin was a devout Christian.
I thought he was a free man of Masonic descent.
Let me take a look.
I don't know. While we're doing that, I thought of an excellent segue. How do you think societies could evolve from fossil fuels to more clean resources? Would that fundamentally affect the way our society is shaped?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at how dependent we are on petroleum and diesel and things like that.
I mean, if we're talking about specifically energy, I mean, we have nuclear power plants. We've seen it done before. You know, a substantial portion of the country becomes, you know, independent from fossil fuel. But it's interesting that, like, even in Pennsylvania, where there are nuclear power plants, I do know that there was a substantial overlap between when all of the coal plants were in operation and when the nuclear plants were in operation. And if I'm not mistaken, Pennsylvania is actually decommissioning its nuclear power plant. Why?
Because nuclear sounds like nuke, and nukes are bad and scary.
Incredibly intelligent take, Nick.
Thank you. But kind of what my question was not about what would change, but like what our way of life change. Do you figure like job? Well, of course jobs would change, but do you think we would change on like? What am I going with this? I don't know. But smoke take over.
I mean, are you asking me what a nuclear society looks like versus a petrochemical fueled society?
Something similar to that. Do you think our day-to-day is going to change drastically? Like, do you think we'll still have cars, things like that, or do you think it's going to be radically different? We need to throw everything out and start over again, I guess.
Well, I don't think we're going to see nuclear cars or hydrogen cars. That'd be absurd.
Well, let's say hypothetically.
Well, I mean, we could have nuclear cars in the sense that we have electric cars that are powered, you know, downstream from nuclear.
Yeah, that's true.
Power.
Yeah, that's true. That was a midwit take from Max. I forgot what Tesla was for a second.
The big issue with Tesla cars right now is that they explode and take an entire fire pumper, if not more. Not that I would know anything, but to extinguish, and that's not epic.
I mean, it's kind of epic.
I mean, okay. To be fair, if you put water on burning magnesium, it does look kind of epic.
True. Destruction of government property isn't something we should joke about.
But it's also the case that, I mean, while we are still producing all of our all of our fuel from Vic really needs to give me water with petrochemicals, we're still not making any substantial savings by using electric vehicles. And if I'm not mistaken, our lithium and cobalt extraction processes are still extremely inefficient and destructive to the environment.
Right, and a lot of what we're, as far as solar and alternative green fuels are right now, we're using a lot of fossil fuels to get them going in the first place, and then once they're there, they're highly impractical. But I do think we could see improvements, in the future if we keep investing in that, but not necessarily radically throwing everything out and shifting to that prematurely, like what the left is wanting to do now.
Right. Well, I mean, the left is obviously not taking a measured approach to this. I mean, it isn't anything other than a wood out of which to build their Trojan horse of socialism and communism. So I'm not convinced that any of these arguments are really going to land when the enemy's motivations are not actually what they say they are. That said, we've been running for approximately forever, and
that's a long time, by the way.
It is a long time.
You're going to spend longer than that, however, in hell. So if you're not saved, just a warning.
Longer than eternity. That's sobering.
So closing question, and this one is from Jonathan. Isn't electricity not even better for the environment, basically?
I'm going to assume that he's talking about electric cars, which I think we covered.
So, I think that the claim is that the initial production of them, I think they use funny stuff in the engines, is actually more polluting to the environment than petrol cars would be over time. But
right, and you're still burning coal to fuel those,
right.
Which it's not cool.
Yeah, to give my 2 cents on that, I believe that electricity is a net neutral on environment. It just depends on how that electricity is generated. So you have inefficient fossil fuels, things like that. That's obviously going to be negative. If you go to green things, how are they implemented? How are they created? You're using a ton of fossil fuels for that, and then they're inefficient, kill wildlife, disrupt habitats in nature. Nuclear, it's clean, it's safe, because energy is just it's power from these things, right? So it's just, I don't know.
Big brain take.
This is why I am not the host.
Yes.
Do you think that electric cars will become mandatory in our lifetime? Not if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah. We love freedom.
Oh, it's my brother. Hi, Carmen. No. I do not think that they will become mandatory in our lifetime, because if they do, I will, in Minecraft, blow them up. That said, I think it's high time we get going.
Before Owen wraps us up, shameless plug for tomorrow's stream.
And also...
Yeah, that comes soon. That comes soon. We are going to have Mo Rhino Watch on, who's a chap who is essentially involved quite heavily in Missouri politics, vice chair of a GOP board, I believe. And he's going to come on and discuss how we can really get involved in the local community and these GOP meetings. So it's going to be incredibly important for young people as we ride the Don's red wave into 2024, because as we said at the beginning,
we are so back.
We are so back. We need to move away from supporting conservatism in general. Frankly, we need to move to supporting Trumpism. It's the only way, in my opinion.
So long as it is consistent with conservatism.
Of course.
Final announcements.
Takes away.
Final announcements before we close off. Get ready for me, Nick. If we reach 1,000 subscribers, I have been admonished for using the word anal tasing, but I'm going to say it again. Prepare yourselves. Sam will receive an anal tasing. He has agreed to this with an electric cattle prod, and I'm going to do it live on stream, one way or the other. So if we hit 1,000 subscribers before Friday, which is when Sam finally lets me go home, we will tase his...
Yeah.
What?
We're currently at 897, folks.
Yeah.
3 away from 900. Very cool.
Also, buy Sam Daily soap. Do it.
Edible.
How do you buy the Sam Daily soap?
You go onto locals, samdailyshow.com/locals. You can find us on there. I believe you need to subscribe. We'll get some soap sent to you. It's very tasty. I wouldn't recommend eating it there. Doesn't smell of anything. It's all natural, which is very cool.
That's not quite true. It does smell like soap, but I mean, it doesn't smell like anything in particular. It doesn't smell like
it doesn't smell like
soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I sign off, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody who's been in here and everybody who's chatting.
It's been very cool.
Makes it much more enjoyable because I have to be here anyways as a Samantha daily concubine. So I'm signing off, but we will be here tomorrow with Mo Rhino Watch and Mo announcements. So good night, everybody.
Cheerio. Nick, do you know how to end the stream?
I actually don't, so I'm just going to keep the camera on me until I can figure out how to stop the stream. So everyone enjoy.
Let's play a staring contest with the camera.
That's an excellent idea. Let's see. I'm going to just switch to...
I think I'm going to lose, to be honest.
I don't think so. Let's see. I'm going to go to max now.
I just lost.
Oh, it's terrible.
What?
There's the end stream button. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheerio. Thanks for watching.
Bloody
Very
marvelous.
Cool. Okay, did the stream end?